Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Ridge's heroic water rescue, Sheila's detective work. The bold and the beautiful teasers for the week of August 4th to 8th state that Ridge Forrester will pull off a heroic Brooke Logan water rescue while Sheila Sharp considers some investigative work. After Brooke decides she's done playing all these games with Ridge, she'll go all in on Nick Marone and the Italian trip he's planned. Nick has been rushing repairs on the boat he wants to take Brooke out on, which will ultimately prove to be a disaster. There'll undoubtedly be some epic boat disaster that leads in Brooke's plunge into the water, so Ridge will see that stunner. Ridge will plunge in for a dramatic rescue, so that'll reignite a flame between them. Brooke should soften despite her past outburst and accept that her heart is dragging her back toward Ridge once again. Likewise, Ridge will decide he can't keep pretending that Brooke is his true love. Although Ridge cares about Taylor Hayes, she'll never achieve the soulmate status that B&B plays up for Ridge and Brooke. In other words, destiny will win once more. Therefore, Taylor has some sorrow going her way. Taylor and Ridge's engagement won't survive since Ridge is on the approach of recognizing that Brooke is actually his destiny. Nick will experience a crushing blow of his own since he won't get the new beginning he was hoping for with Brooke. Watching Brooke and Ridge reunite should leave Nick heartbroken as he prepares for his B&B farewell. Back in Los Angeles, Sheila may decide to take matters into her own hands. After becoming suspicious about Lee Finnegan and what she's hiding when it comes to Luna Nozoa, would Sheila pursue her and try to learn more? Could the secret of Luna's survival be in jeopardy? Sheila may play detective somehow in the next episodes, and John Finnegan should continuing doing the same on a totally different case. Now that Finn's accumulating more clues regarding Grace Buckingham's deception, it's just a matter of time until he learns out she deceived Liam Spencer and Bill Spencer. Finally, Hope Logan seems prepared to clash with Daphne Rose over her LA return. Thus Carter Walton will no sure get caught in the thick of the conflict. The bold and the beautiful teasers indicate the week of August 4th to 8th will feature some twists and turns. As Brooke reaches her emotional breaking point, Lee goes to the last place you'd expect. Although yesterday Nick was hoping to take Brooke on a romantic boat cruise, Ridge seemingly beat him to the punch. The exes take a lovely cruise over the river to Capri, the tune Unforgettable playing. Fun fact, no other soap does location filming or has the production values of Bold and Beautiful. Sure, the stories being delivered against those backdrops are, let's go with underwhelming. But Don Gade, if witnessing these moments didn't immediately left me eager to phone my travel agency. At the venue of the fashion show, Eric takes a time to tell Ridge what he saw last night, Brooke and Nick smooching, and warn that his son is going to lose the woman everyone else knows is right for him. Ridge confronts Brooke with this, and she answers, in essence, "Hey, at least someone's making an effort." But enough with Brooke and Ridge's game of push me/pull you. It's time for a fashion display. Oddly, it's being hosted at a restaurant, and no one seems to be paying a bit of attention to the models, let alone what they're wearing. But the setting is lovely. It all culminates to Brooke flaunting her stuff as the crowd goes wild. Sheila wants answers. Watching over a slumbering, comatose Luna, Lee vows that she's not going to let her niece/grandchild die. At the same time, Sheila's moaning to Deacon about not knowing where Luna was buried. She's tried receiving answers from Lee, but is getting no response to her calls and SMS. Soon after, Lee strolls in to pick up her takeaway. Somehow, she acts annoyed to see Sheila, in the place in which she works and resides. Is there no other eatery in the tiny hamlet of Los Angeles? One where people can go rather than patronize a woman who has attempted to kill them? In any case, Sheila nearly begs Lee to let her visit Luna, wherever she's been buried or her ashes strewn. Lee, meanwhile, remains tight-lipped. Brooke breaks down. After the performance, the press demands Brooke and Ridge, the king and queen of fashion, sit for photos together. Brooke feels increasingly uneasy before rushing off, with Ridge in hot pursuit. Bold, beautiful Nick, Eric, Italy. More. This might alter everything for Steffy. Meanwhile, repairs on Nick's yacht still aren't complete, but his Italian pal tries to find an alternative. He jumps in an abnormally enormous but very cool-looking car and heads for the place of the fashion show. Arriving in town, he stops a stranger and asks where the fashion show is. For some reason, the rando knows precisely where it is, sending Nick rushing off to the fashion show, where he runs immediately into an angry Eric who proclaims that the sailor isn't welcome. Bold, gorgeous Brooke, Ridge, Italy. Overlooking the water, Ridge catches up with Brooke, who's had as much as she can handle. Everybody is happy to see us together. But the difficulty is we're not together, she says, admitting that the whole on-again, slash-off-again thing is driving her insane. Every time I look at you, I can see how much you love me, but you're too damn stupid and stubborn to admit it. He counters that he doesn't enjoy seeing her like this, imploring her not to go. I can't stay here, she moans, only for him to claim she can't leave. Eric sticks his nose where it doesn't belong. Again, the bold and the beautiful spoilers for Wednesday, July 30th, 2025, indicate Eric returning to his new favorite pastime of late, playing matchmaker for Brooke and Ridge. Eric Forrester is in gorgeous Italy with his son and his ex-wife/ex-daughter-in-law. The bold and the beautiful spoilers. Brooke's dreams come true? Since he knows he can't make her his wife again, Eric seems eager to make Brooke Logan his daughter-in-law again and push poor Taylor Hayes to the curb. He did his best to encourage Ridge Forrester to take Brooke back when they were still in Los Angeles. But Ridge was determined to remain by Taylor's side and not give her broken heart syndrome again. Taylor proposed, he said yes, and they will start planning their umpteenth wedding when Ridge returns home from Italy. Well, not if Eric has anything to do with it. He is ready to pull out all the stops so that Ridge sees that Brooke is his destiny. The trouble is that Nick Marone is in the way and Brooke has dreamy eyes when she is around him. Brooke is a lady who appreciates the attention of a man, and Nick is the man giving her attention now. Read more. Taylor Hayes leaves bold and the beautiful too, like mother like daughter? A fashion extravaganza. Of all, the actual reason they are all in Italy is their enthusiasm for fashion and not their passion for each other. The latest Forrester fashion show and photo shoot is begun. Ridge can't take his eyes off Brooke, but neither can Nick. Eric observes them all with an eagle eye, but does he come up with his own strategy to make sure that Ridge doesn't let opportunity slip away this time? Eric put his devious mind to work at the spring fashion show in LA, but that didn't do the trick. Is Brooke set to model another magnificent wedding gown intended for the more mature woman? Perhaps something new to remind Ridge of his life with Brooke will do what an older gown could not. Or maybe Eric will just grab Nick and lock him in a room somewhere. The warm Italian sun glistened across the deep sapphire waters of Capri, glittering like the secrets and heartbreaks that had accompanied Brooke Logan across the ocean. Dressed in a flowing cream dress that fluttered with every gust of Mediterranean wind, Brooke stood at the edge of the boat Nick Marone had hastily commandeered, an impromptu replacement for his still unfinished vessel, now the symbol of his frantic hope to rekindle something deep and passionate with the woman who once believed she had found forever in him. But Brooke's thoughts weren't on Nick, not really. As she peered out across the horizon, her heart hurt with the old pull of Ridge Forrester, the man she'd tried, again and again, to walk away from, yet somehow always returned to. Nick, meanwhile, unconscious of the brewing storm within Brooke's emotions, proudly gestured toward the jagged shorelines and romantic cliffs, spoke of goals and ambitions that didn't quite strike her heart the way Ridge's calm stare still did. And then calamity hit. A mechanical malfunction, a faulty rope, or maybe simply fate, it didn't matter. In one sudden twist of circumstance, the boat rocked abruptly as Brooke pivoted, lost her balance, and plunged into the churning seas below, her scream cut short by the crash of the sea. In that split second, everything changed. On a nearby balcony overlooking the port, Ridge stared in terror as Brooke sank beneath the water's surface. Without hesitation, without thought for his own safety or the ramifications of what had just happened, Ridge plunged, slashing through the air like a torpedo of raw emotion and purpose, falling into the ocean with all the strength his love could summon. Nick cried for aid, frantic, but it was Ridge's arms that found Brooke beneath the waves, her limbs thrashing weakly, her lungs desperate for air. He pulled her close, muttered her name against her soaking hair, and kicked hard toward the surface. As their heads broke through the water, gasps sounded out from the audience that had gathered at the harbor, and Ridge clutched her like a man who had rediscovered his reason for living. As he dragged Brooke back to shore, she clung to him, her eyes wide and glassy, her chest heaving with breath and confusion. It was as if in nearly losing her, Ridge had found everything that mattered. Their gazes met, the agony of the past obliterated by the irrefutable knowledge that they were, still, each other's destiny. And in that instant, the romance the world had tried to break apart again and again sparked anew. Eric Forrester, observing from the sidelines, smirked knowingly, having long given up subtlety in his campaign to reunite them. But the consequences rippled fast. Nick's expression clouded as he realized Brooke had been pulled for more than just water. She had been tugged straight back into Ridge's circle, and his hope of rekindled love was dead on arrival. Back in Los Angeles, the drama simmered hotter than the Italian heat. Sheila Carter, suspicious and restless, paced Deacon's tight apartment, her eyes darting to her burner phone. No response from Lee Finnegan. No texts, no callbacks. Just silence. Too much stillness. And Sheila, ever the predator when sensing vulnerability, sniffed blood in the water. She suspected Lee was hiding something about Luna Nozoa, the niece whose abrupt death had shaken everyone, especially John Finnegan, who'd grown increasingly disillusioned with the clinical coldness of his adoptive mother. Sheila had once watched her own son die in Lee's care, only to hear he'd been hidden and healed in secret. Could history be repeating? Was Luna actually gone, or was Lee fabricating another death? Sheila decided to explore. Donning sunglasses, a scarf, and a neutral trench, she trailed Lee from the hospital exit to a secluded building on the outskirts of Beverly Hills. Through binoculars, she witnessed her enemy disappear behind unmarked doors, carrying flowers of all things. A nurse appeared soon afterward, one Sheila didn't recognize. Something was off. Something screamed, cover up. Meanwhile, Finn, growing increasingly skeptical of Grace Buckingham's participation in Liam Spencer's latest brain tumor diagnosis, looked up hospital records that didn't fit Bill Spencer's account of events. Why were test results missing from Liam's file? Why had the $1 million payment been channeled through a defunct surgical trust related to Reese Buckingham, Grace's disgraced ex? Finn, no longer willing to stay silent, called in Bridget Forrester to help audit the documents. What they unearthed would eventually shatter the hospital's foundation. Liam had been misled, and someone, maybe even Liam himself, had altered the diagnosis to elicit Steffy's sympathy. But back in Capri, the consequences persisted. Taylor Hayes, alone in her suite, watched news video of Ridge saving Brooke. Reporters were already branding it a love reborn moment, a cinematic rescue that screamed destiny. Taylor's engagement ring seemed heavier by the second. Ridge hadn't even phoned. She knew what that meant. He was gone. Again. She packed her luggage, her heart crushed, yet no tears fell. She was used to being the second choice. Backstage at the fashion show, Brooke smiled for cameras in a gown that shimmered like sea glass, the same gown she'd worn seconds before nearly drowning. Her makeup impeccable, her countenance impenetrable. She stood beside Ridge, the king and queen of fashion, as the throng demanded another kiss. He gave it to them, not out of pressure, but because for the first time in months he felt sure. And Brooke kissed him back, not with reluctance, but with determination. The storm has passed, or so they thought, because in the shadows, Eric was already scheming. He'd gotten what he wanted. Ridge and Brooke reunited, but it had come at a cost. Nick was outraged, and Taylor's silence was thick with pain. Eric understood the next moves would require careful navigation, especially now that suspicions of Lee's duplicity were reaching European ears. And in Los Angeles, Sheila was one step away from verifying Luna was alive, hidden in a long-term care facility owned by Lee's private trust. The confrontation would be seismic. Sheila's rage had always been fire, but this time it would be controlled, measured. She sought redemption, not revenge. But the truth about Luna could change everything, especially if Finn found out before Sheila did. Daphne Rose, fresh from her return to L.A., had scarcely set foot in Forrester before battling with Hope Logan over Carter Walton. The women's confrontation spurred murmurs around the office corridors, their rivalry just another powder keg ready to blow. And all the while Brooke, standing hand in hand with Ridge in a moonlit cafe along the Amalfi Coast, believed she was finally home again, in his arms, where fate had always promised she'd return. But in true bold and the beautiful manner, tranquility was simply the eye of the storm. Because Luna might wake up, Grace might go to prison, Sheila might redeem herself, and Ridge, despite his heroic dive and beautiful reunion, might still find his heart challenged once more, not by Taylor, but by Brooke's secret that no one yet knew. Before the rescue, before the kiss, before the boat journey, she had already agreed to marry Nick Marone. And now, that commitment might change everything. Dr. Lee's dangerous vow. Save Luna and prove Poppy failed. Bold and beautiful spoilers reveal Lee Finnegan's shocking decision to covertly care for comatose Luna Nozoa, recalling her past with Finn. Will her desperate plot work? Lee Finnegan's shocking secret mission to save Luna. The doctor makes a life-changing promise that could destroy the Finnegan family forever. Hold onto your seats, soap fans, because Lee Finnegan just made a vow that's going to change everything. In Wednesday's blockbuster episode, the dedicated doctor crouched over her comatose niece Luna Nozawa and made a pledge so profound, so loaded with family drama, that we're still plucking our jaws up off the floor. The promise that changes everything. Picture this. Lee hanging over Luna's hospital bed, monitors beeping, the weight of the world on her shoulders. And then, she makes the promise. I won't let you die, she says, her voice thick with anguish. But wait, it gets juicier. Lee doesn't merely swear to save Luna's life. Oh no, she swears to offer her something Poppy Nozawa never could. Stability. Talk about throwing shade at your own sister while her daughter suffers for her life. Lee has literally taken a leave of absence from the hospital to dedicate herself to this purpose. The woman who saves lives for a living has put her entire career on hold for the niece who tried to murder her family. Make it make sense. Deja vu, anyone? If this sounds familiar, that's because IT is. Remember when Lee tried this exact similar thing with Finn? When everyone feared he was dead, she slipped him out of the hospital and nursed him back to health in secret. The woman has a playbook and she's sticking to it. But here's where it gets complicated. Finn was an innocent victim. Luna, she's a lady who tortured Steffy, threatened baby Hayes, and left chaos in her wake. Yet, here's Lee, giving her with the family support she never gave her before, keen to prove she can succeed where Poppy failed. The bold and beautiful spoilers. Dr. Lee's dangerous vow. Save Luna and prove Poppy failed. Bold and beautiful spoilers reveal Lee Finnegan's shocking decision to covertly care for comatose Luna Nozawa, recalling her past with Finn. Will her desperate plot work? Published 11 hours ago on July 29th, 2025 by Nancy Bannisterly. Pledge, Save Luna. Lee Finnegan's shocking secret mission to save Luna. The doctor makes a life-changing promise that could destroy the Finnegan family forever. Hold onto your seats, soap fans, because Lee Finnegan just made a vow that's going to change everything. In Wednesday's blockbuster episode, the dedicated doctor crouched over her comatose niece Luna Nozawa and made a pledge so profound, so loaded with family drama, that we're still plucking our jaws up off the floor.